Welcome to week 6. This week is full of some interesting and different topics for us to talk about. Even though they may seem pretty strange, they are very important for us as medical assistants to focus on. So this week we're going to be talking about computers in the medical world, and we're also going to be talking about how we manage our patients' records. So with that being said, we are focusing on chapters 7, chapter 12, and chapter 13. Now for the day 1 video, I'm going to focus on chapter 12. So let's get started. So chapter 12 is dealing with computers in the medical office. Computers play such an important role in the medical office, from diagnosing our patients, monitoring them, and then reporting their progress. Computers also help to advance the quality of care that we give to our patients through the data collection that we can do. It also helps us eliminate doing duplicate work, and it helps to decrease errors because we're not trying to read a physician's handwriting or maybe our own handwriting in a medical chart. Computers are also very valuable because they help to eliminate some of the more time-consuming tasks that we were responsible for. Some of those tasks include scheduling appointments, charting, billing, and insurance processing. Coding also falls into this as well, and if you guys remember, that coding activity wasn't exactly fun, and it did take some time. So computers take that out for us. Now, in order for us as medical assistants to be successful in both the administrative and the clinical settings, we need to be familiar with computers, but not only just with computers, but also with their parts and how they are used. So let's talk about some computer basics. Now, some of you may be very tech savvy and know all of this information, but some of us don't. So bear with us as we're all working through this and we're all learning it together. I'm not exactly tech savvy either, so this chapter is very helpful not only for me to teach it, but for me to know for myself. So basically, computers are made up of 3 different components. Those 3 components are its hardware, its software, and its storage or security settings. So I want to talk about each of those a little bit more in depth and get a better understanding of what each of those means. So when we refer to the hardware, we're talking about the computer's CPU, or Central Processing Unit. The CPU is essentially a traffic controller for your computer and the activities that take place in the computer. Another way to think about the CPU is it is essentially the brain of your computer. Think about our brains in our body. They tell our limbs what to do, our muscles when to move. That's exactly what a CPU is for a computer. Now, when we talk about the hardware of a computer, it consists of input devices and output devices. Input devices are something we put into the computer. So, for example, keyboard, mouse, your touch screens, your microphones like I'm using right now, scanners, and cameras. Those are all input devices. Our output devices, on the other hand, are things that put out a message. For example, our monitors, they all display some sort of output, and the printers that we work with, those print out all of our output devices and output information. So that's the hardware. Let's talk about the software for a minute. So software is essentially the instruction manual for your computer. It allows your computer to do certain functionalities, and it has that makeup of what the computer is supposed to do. Now that that software manual or instruction manual is part of what we call the operating system. And that essentially just helps our computer to run. Some examples of what an operating system would be like your Windows system, Windows 7, Windows 10, or Windows 12 and 13 that will eventually all come out. Your iOS systems that can be found on your phone. your Mac operating systems, if you've got a Mac laptop or Mac desktop. And Unix, that's another sort of operating system. But computer software also have what we call application software, where these are types of applications that we can put into the computer to help us serve a general purpose. For example, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office. It has all those wonderful things that we would use on a daily basis. Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, Microsoft PowerPoint, and Microsoft Publisher. All of those are applications that we put into the computer to help us serve a better purpose. In the medical world, you'll also have things just like that to do the same process to help with medical, with ensuring that your patients are getting the best care that they can and being able to monitor them better. And the last component is the storage or the security. So safety on a computer includes regular maintenance, passwords, antivirus protections, and HIPAA compliance. It's really essential for us as medical assistants to understand that patients should not be able to see computerized records for any other patient. We need to make sure that we're keeping those things private. We can do so by using screensavers or screen protectors, turning our laptops or desktops away from computer areas so they can't be seen from patients. But HIPAA also came up with a plan called the Security Rule. And this provides national standards for protecting electronic health information, or EPHI. Some of these safeguards that fall under this rule are your administrative safeguards. And that really is the purpose of designating a privacy safety officer, including them to conduct training and helping them protect that PHI for electronic versions. Having a backup or a recovery plan in case of emergencies. Computer systems aren't always most faithful to us, and you can have what we call downtime, which is a time of maintenance. Maybe you lose your internet connection, or you lose your electricity, or maybe we have a power outage. So having that backup plan is really important because you never know what could happen with our computers. Another safeguard that was put into place is the physical safeguard. And what that means is you need to be able to prevent unauthorized persons from getting that data physically and physically accessing it. So that's where having passwords that are not written down comes into play. Turning your computers away from the patient areas so they can't be seen with the naked eye. Using those screen protectors so patients can't see onto the screen. All of those things are great ways to physically protect that information. And on the opposite side of the physical safeguard is the technical safeguard. So that's making sure that you have that electronic protection to stop people, unauthorized users, from getting into the computer. Having those antivirus walls, having firewalls put up so patients can't hack the system and get into patient information. Alright guys, so that is really all the important pieces for knowing about computers in the medical world. You'll also be responsible for doing some routine maintenance, such as maybe fixing a printer, or refilling the paper in the printer, something to that effect. So read up on some of the more common ways to fix certain things. And if you've got a computer or printer at home, you've probably already been doing this, but we're going to touch a little bit more on those on day one. So bring all your wonderful computer questions to me, and I will hopefully answer them as best as I can. Have a wonderful week, guys, and I'll see you on day one. Bye-bye.